Hello and welcome back to the next One Piece review and discussion. We are here at the continuation of the story. The next chapter is out and I am excited to dive in because Vegapunk is not finished yet. He is spilling everything and I'm excited to talk about what it is he divulges in this chapter because we get a lot more information and a lot of questions are raised. So, without further ado, chapter 1116, Conflict. Okay, and the cover story, the wholesome cover story, continues of only child Yamato's journey, her pilgrimage, and they are getting medicine and doublings from Otsuru. So it's quite a nice cover story, quite cool. I thought at first that Oda was trying to reference her devil fruit because the bag looks like a devil fruit, but it was just me thinking too far into Oda's foreshadowing, I guess. But anyway, last we left off, Vegapunk revealed that the war that started 800 years ago, the Great War that was happening during the Void Century, is still going on today. And that ancient weapons played a part. So that's where we pick up. We get the crowd's reaction from somewhere that Vegapunk is talking about world-sinking weapons and that they're still out there. And what is great is that while we're getting all this reaction from people and Vegapunk himself is like, how is it that a war from 800 years ago is still ongoing? Like, no one from back in those times should still be alive. How is a war still raging on in total secrecy? And what we see here is a shot of Eam walking through the castle and standing in front of a portrait of Lily. So looks awfully like Vivi, but we know that Eam has got this obsession now with Vivi and hunting her down because of a connection to Lily that she has. So as we pull away from Eam and this demonic look, the fact that we're seeing more Eam as well frightened me that we could end up seeing Eam do something in Egghead, actually flex some more of their abilities, I guess. Maybe we get to see what they look like because we still don't know. But with the focus on Vivi and Lily at the minute, we actually come all the way to Alabasta, where we see Ingram looking at like missing posters of Vivi and Karu. They're both just like in tears, just crying. And we see a shot of Cobra's coffin in like the ruins. We can see loads of guards. And we see Shaka and Pell sort of flanking the coffin either side on what, well, probably more of a sarcophagus actually, considering it's based on like Egypt and there's like hieroglyphs and that sort of thematic with Alabasta. But Vegapunk is saying during these shots that he wants to apologise, he wants to confess something, saying that his goal to begin with was to create a source of fuel that would be like eternal. And he says, it remains unfinished, but my research culminated in the mother flame. A power, a fuel source that would develop society and has many practical uses. One day that this undying energy could be harnessed and ensure that the entire world lives in abundance. So, quite a wholesome message, quite nice. However, Vegapunk knew, and he says, a small fragment was stolen. So there is now only this mother flame, and the one that was stolen, or the part was stolen, and we find out, but we pretty much knew the one that the Gorosei have that was used to destroy Lulusia is a fragment of this mother flame here on Egghead. That's kind of frightening that was only a fragment of the power. So wait to see what happens when the full one gets used. Am I right? But anyway, Vegapunk confesses and says, I take responsibility for this unforeseen event. He's owning up and confessing that it's his fault that it got stolen in the first place. And we cut to now seeing the aftermath of all of the CP agents, and we only see a Snake at the minute, but them all on the Fabrio stratum. They've come crumbling down, they've crashed down from the sky, and it is Stussy and Edison carrying on their conversation, being like, what has just happened? Any idea, Edison? And he's like, yeah, that kind of spooked me too, but I'm pretty sure that your Labo stratum, the phase up top, has just come crashing down. Another monstrous elder must be heading up. And he's like, the punk clouds that we make, we can't generate any more. It's like, it's too late. So Edison's like, Stussy, you gotta get out of there. And we have this really interesting dialogue now where Stussy explains to Edison, like, could I free Kaku? Is that okay? She's like, I don't want him to suffer any of the consequences of this, and I'll make sure he doesn't go after Straw Hats, but I'm pretty sure his priority is going to be elsewhere anyway. And Edison says, that's understandable. We've put you in this position, and it didn't occur that they were your friends and that you've turned on them. You've been torn between both sides, and you still chose to rescue us. That inner conflict is what proves your humanity, Stussy. Do as you please and find a way to keep living. And she's like in tears. What a lovely little moment from Edison there, proving that Stussy, even though she's a clone, she has her own thoughts and feelings, and Cypher Paul are her friends. So what role that's going to play later down the line in the story when it comes to like the Straw Hat and CP0 going up against each other again, who knows? But Vegapunk's message continues, and he says that 2 weeks after he realised the flame fragment was stolen, they observed the intense glow above Lulusia. And later on, they got the news that the entire island, the nation, had disappeared without a trace. And before long, they had measured and recorded the earthquake that he mentioned. So he says, this might be my pride as a scientist talking, but I am certain of the fact that only the mother flame could supply such an immense energy source. And it's during these shots, this is really cool now, that we see Moda amongst like the revolutionaries. So obviously she was rescued along with like Sabo and a few others. She is there obviously from the Ace like side spin-off story that they did. And she's like, Lulusia, what? And it is indeed Comil as well, the Vice Admiral from G2, him showing up, and also like in the same panels reacting to the fact that an ancient weapon has like destroyed Lulusia or it's vanished, like what is going on. And it is King El Isabello, the kingly punch dude from Dressrosa, who was like, building up that Omega level punch. Who again, some kingdoms haven't heard this news, so he's like asking people to like go and check, like report in, go and confirm if this is true. And Vegapunk is like, this is my own invention used to power an ancient weapon. And it's at this point in the recording where he like drops to his knees and like puts his head down, and he's like, the motives of the perpetrator are still a mystery to me, but in the end it boils down to one thing: I am now an accessory to this act of mass murder, and I cannot express how remorseful I am. But this proves my theory is plausible. You know, the disaster that flooded the world is man-made. And it's this where, obviously with the talk of ancient weapons, Momo's like, oh, so they're talking about, is that Pluton then? And Kinnamon's like, you best be quiet, my guy. Don't go running your mouth. And obviously, with the talk of Pluton, Crocodile shows up. And we see Vegapunk explain that there were 3 great ancient weapons. Momo and Crocodile here, referencing Pluton. The following panel is Shirahoshi, referencing Poseidon. And pretty much all the speculation, we know the least about Uranus. And Uranus is probably what's powering, or is being powered by, the Mother Flame. This like giant flying weapon that can just annihilate a whole nation. So who knows what's going to happen there, but that's pretty much all 3 ancient weapons now accounted for. But Vegapunk explains that from the reading of the poneglyphs, that Joy Boy attempted to ensure that those ancient weapons were passed down. So the question is asked, why hasn't the world sunk enough? Like, if the world is going to sink, why wasn't it done already? And he's saying there's still ambiguity around it. Like, we don't know which side of the other is like evil, but the day of answers is coming, and there will be a sunken world when that time comes. And we see Sengoku is like shoving food in his face, and Suru's there just saying like he's such an idiot. But Vegapunk is like, the Void Sentry is still an enigma, but there are those who know what happened in its entirety. And we see it's Akainu like destroy, like he was holding a cigar, now he's just destroyed it in his hand. Like, so you're going to explain everything now, Vegapunk? So these are rough translations. Does this mean Akainu knows what happened, seeing as he's now Fleet Admiral? And is that why Sengoku was freaking out, because he also knows everything that happened? These are information we don't know yet. But Vegapunk explains people who do know. And the people who know are obviously the members of the Pirate King's crew. And this is when we see Crocus is like sat there with Laboon like, shit. They know. And everyone starts like reacting now, being like, wait, they've known the world's secrets this whole time. Like, what? And before we get any more reaction, we jump to York briefly, because she's clocked onto now. She's like, how the hell has the Stella worked out that I stole the Mother Flame? It's not possible. I cut off my memory synchronization. It shouldn't be possible for him to know. I was prepared. I was covered. And also, Vegapunk is a terrible liar and a terrible actor, she says. So she was like, when they first, like, she revealed to him that she was the traitor, and he had that like reaction in the prison cell, she was like, you were genuinely surprised. That was not like faked. So the only possibility is you didn't know someone betrayed you, but you knew that the mother flame was stolen, because he's a scientist, of course. He's going to carry on doing research on the mother flame. He took the readings of Lulusia, and that's what tipped him off to it being stolen. And she's like, the timeline doesn't add up. I don't know what this means, but you know the government plans now, because you wouldn't have done all this, and you wouldn't have hidden the broadcast snail and timed it with like your death. So, interesting panel here as well while she's figuring all it out. Jupiter is just like inhaling all of the CP agents. Whether he's doing that to save them, I doubt it, but he could be. The more likely scenario is he's just going crazy, destroying the island, and these agents are just being caught in the whale pool that he's dragging them all into. But it's at this moment that York reveals she knows where the broadcast snail is. So she reports into all the elders, and they're like, are you sure you know? Like, she's like, without a doubt, I'm a Vegapunk. I know where it is. The snail is being guarded by that iron giant in the Fabrio Stratum. And we get this like incredible shot. Like, I'll put it up because it is incredible. The iron giant walking through flame, just absolutely looking badass, like an absolute menace. And I'm going to have to say, we've seen what the elders are capable of now. They flex their powers. Could you imagine if they try and go toe to toe with this thing, this iron giant, and it just stays standing? Like, Nosturo can't cut it. Jupiter like just can't even like drag it. It's that heavy. Like, oh. There's also adds some little cool reference to when we first obviously meet Vegapunk. He's like half in and half out of the Iron Giant. So was he putting it in then? Was that just like a cover? Like he was like, oh, I've teleported there. Transponder snail inside. Who knows? Who knows? However, someone who does know, again, are the crew that belonged to Roger. And Vegapunk says they knew this entire long history. So it begs the question why they would just fade away without telling a soul. Why did they not act then? And we come all the way to Sabaody, to Shaki's little dingy bar, the knockoff bar, where she's dealing with drunks, and she's even like, you've had way too much. Like, you're so wasted, Ray. And he's like, oh, I'm old, I'm washed up, you know, just like that blathering old geezer Vegapunk, you know. He's already said too much, but I don't want to be an ass, you know. I don't want to spoil anything for these youngsters. It is their thrill to seek now. Isn't that right, Roger? And he just passes out on the bar. So, break next week, because that's where the chapter ends, which is unfortunate. But this now provides a massive question. Roger's crew arrived at Laugh Tale. They laughed. They saw something and they laughed. But it was then, in those moments, or that day, or even when they laughed, they'd learned the truth of this world, what actually happened. These gentlemen have been sat on the entire story and haven't mentioned it once to anyone. What is it that Roger told them, or they agreed together, that they would not spoil it or not act on it? Like, why did they not go and then attack the world government and the Gorosei? They were a pretty formidable crew. They had the whole God Valley incident. What did they learn that stopped them from acting? And on that bombshell, we'll have to end it here, guys. Let me know what you thought of the chapter. Let me know what you think. Why was Roger so hellbent on not revealing anything to anyone? And I will catch you guys later. Bye.